Anyway, we will be back very shortly with the arts program and a very busy show tonight, so stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. And that is the lovely Amy Brule there with C'est Magnifique. And you're listening to the arts program. It's Wednesday evening, which means that, yes, we're bringing you the arts program here at Voice FM, at 99.9 Voice FM, from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. And my name is Pauline O'Shaughnessy Dowling, and I'm otherwise known as Pod. And with me in the studio as well, on the other side of the desk,
is Lynden Nichols, otherwise known as
Lynden.
Myself, or Lynden, or, you know.
You always laugh when I say that, don't you?
Yeah.
But it's true. I am otherwise known as Pod. Yeah. So there we are. And we've got an action-packed show for you again tonight. And our first guests in the studio this evening are Katja. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Katja.
Pretty good, yes.
And Kate.
Hello.
Good evening to you both.
Hello. Good evening.
And you're in this evening to tell us about a brand new venture for Ballarat called Abandoned Lot. And I've been watching this idea start to come to fruition on Facebook, and I'm very curious. We're both very curious to know what Abandoned Lot is all about. So far, all we know is that it is another new social enterprise for Ballarat. And I think one of your bylines as well, which is really sweet, is it's a reclamation of stuff and self where all things have a purpose. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep, that's spot on.
So tell us about Abandoned Lot. What's it actually going to be? Or what is it already? Katja, you're kind of looking like you're ready to answer that question. Do you reckon you could?
Usually Kate is expert when it comes to finding the right words for things. She's got a beautiful way with words and with people. So usually, actually, I leave all the social media things to Kate, all the amazing posts and stuff you see on Facebook and on Instagram and whatnot. That's kind of Kate's poetry that goes into it. Abandoned Lot. Well, it's so much. It's so many beautiful things. It started out. We've just recollected 7 weeks ago. We actually sort of started talking about it, and I recollect we sort of started doing pottery classes, or not classes. We sort of started doing pottery together at the Fairweather studio, and then it was so exciting, so much fun being there in the studio, getting messy, being creative, having fun on the wheel, and then sort of we came home and sort of started sort of texting and messaging and sort of fantasizing along. This was so much fun. Imagine we could do that all the time.
And I think that was sort of the catchphrase was imagine if, what if. And we sort of threw these ideas around and were batting them backwards and forwards until we came up with the concept of a space that anything can happen in, that anybody can come to and try their hand at anything and everything without the burden of commitment, the burden of
committing to a long course or something.
Yeah, so you don't have to make a commitment to a term or anything like that. You can roll in once, try your hand at something, come back the next week, try something else or not. And also the burden of finance. So we're not looking at huge fees or anything to participate. It's very much a community space. We have an understanding between us that if someone can't participate because money is a barrier, and there's other ways that they might be able to contribute to the space, whether it's assisting with a workshop or setting up or packing up or whatever it is, we're open to those conversations. So it's pretty flexible. It's a space that people can hire out to run their own workshops. But we'll be rolling out some pretty cool things ourselves. We've got some pretty fabulous equipment, which we've been really lucky to find, and that's the reclamation part, I suppose, is reclaiming old equipment.
And you've brought this together in a very short period of time. You were saying just before that you started banding this idea around less than 2 months ago. I mean, I know you know each other very well and you do sort of swap ideas and discuss ideas a lot, but it's a very quick coming to fruition, isn't it, of the idea?
Yeah, so I think we need to acknowledge how long I have spent hoarding arts stuff.
Yeah. And now you've got something to do with it. How exciting is that in itself?
So I started, I really love screen printing. It's something that I've sort of dabbled in over the years and have managed to incorporate into my work as well as a hobby.
And screen printing, I think, is one of those things. I mean, obviously it never goes out of fashion, but there's always a lot of interest in it, I think.
Yeah, because people have always got something to say.
Yeah.
And that's something really exciting and empowering about the Abandoned Lot, is that it's a space where people can come in and express themselves in whatever way, shape or form, whether it's a subtle way through a pot that they've thrown or a T-shirt that says exactly what they're thinking at any given time.
Or a pocket mirror.
Yeah, yep.
Or photos.
Yeah.
A pocket mirror.
A pocket mirror, yeah.
Making pocket mirrors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've really got a really huge array of different things that people can make. That's
so
very
if you can
exciting.
tell us some of the equipment that you've got, because I think that can then make people understand some of the possibilities.
Yeah. So let me start with a couch and a radiogram and a heap of vinyls. I'll chase that up with an espresso machine, not one of those naff weldy ones. Where you can come in and make yourself a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea and herbal tea and sit down and enjoy the space on its own. We've got a pottery wheel.
We've got a couple of kilns, like a little jewellery kiln and a larger kiln where you can fire stoneware up to stoneware, so pots and plates and cups and mugs and all of that.
And if somebody, I mean, I know you're going to run it so that people that already know how to do these things can hire out the space, etc.
Yep.
But if somebody doesn't know how to use a kiln, will you two be able to teach people?
No, and that's the beauty of it, because we're learning at the same time.
Yeah.
So we've got some amazing mentors in the community. We've got the likes of Donna over at Fair Weather Studio and people around the community that have sort of thrown their support and their talents behind us. So we've got some pretty amazing equipment, and we're learning as we go. And we kind of, for some of those people that are just starting out, we're only a few steps ahead in a lot of those art forms.
And that's why it will be so amazing to work with all those creatives around town. So no matter what age, what background, what ability, what skills people can bring. So even if you are not, or if people are not as set up yet with having a business or creative business or whatever, but they have the skills and they have the talent and they want to give it a go, then they can sort of come under our abandoned lot umbrella. And we kind of organise or work with them to organise those workshops, opportunities, sessions, sort of all happening under abandoned lot. Or people, as Kate just mentioned before, can, if they're already set up with public liability insurance, their own equipment or whatnot, can still rent out the space throughout the week. Because we're both still working pretty much full time during the week, we're focusing on doing things, workshops and activities from Thursday through to Sunday. So that means the space is available for others to rent out for groups or individuals for the rest of the week.
So did you two see a gap in that sort of art making studio availability space? Is that what partly started this off?
So and more so social and community spaces that didn't have you didn't have to sign up for anything in particular. So what I'm well aware of is the number of things like senior citizens venues that are across the city of Ballarat, but then those sorts of services and facilities for younger people, so teenagers and sort of people in between, there's kind of nothing like that unless you have a sport or a specific hobby that you want to that you want to be part of. For someone my age, mid-30s, and with several children, the prospects of being able to go out and just try something for the sake of the joy of it, it just doesn't exist. It's very much it's coffee and cake and following the kids around to things at this stage of my life, and the abandoned lot provides me an opportunity to do those wonderful things with my children, but also with other adults.
And I like this idea too that we just sort of touched on before, that you might only be one step or half a step ahead of a potential person that you're mentoring or a student, because that is actually a great and recognised way for people to learn. Like if you're, as you being, let's say you're a teacher or a mentor and you're sort of open to learning new ideas, and then you've got someone there with you learning, like it's a great way for people to sort of start learning a new skill, because you go on that journey of discovery together.
We don't see ourselves as the experts in any of this.
I think that's great.
Well, so we're keen to learn. I mean, if you think about how much we've learned over the last few weeks, as soon as sort of this idea unfolded and we've sort of been in touch, we're texting every single day from finish midnight and back on contact 5 in the morning or so, because we've got all those ideas and we share all those things and whatnot. So, but we've got into pottery and both of us never done that before, and now we absolutely love it. I could do that 24/7 now. And trying out all those different things, it's just so exciting. I went to the Bendigo Art Gallery a couple of weekends ago, and they had this amazing show with sort of wax on batik that women in Central Australia did. Yes, it was absolutely amazing. So, of course, 2 days later, we're trying to find an electric frying pan where we can put wax in to kind of create something similar. Yeah, so it can be very, very experimental. Yeah, absolutely. Which is really exciting as well, isn't it?
And grassroots too. It's pretty, there's no frills sort of. It's an old electric frying pan.
And you were saying, Katja, before that you've got 2 dark rooms.
We've got equipment for 2 dark rooms, and we're definitely planning to set up 1 dark room in that space.
Yep, and this is exactly what's happened. We've got the setup for 2 dark rooms, so I've set one up at home, and my partner is learning, and we'll set a second one up at the abandoned lot, and then my partner, bless him, hi Nick, will come in and show people what he's learnt so far, and we'll probably learn something from those people coming in too. So
I must say I'm very excited about the prospect of dark rooms. I've done a little bit myself before, and it's such a beautiful and a gorgeous experimental thing to do. It's a really beautiful
like being a
process.
scientist.
It really is, yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of all those art forms or creative forms, whether it's like going back to analog photography and developing images in a dark room, as well as pottery. Like, you don't know how your pottery turns out once you have it in the
with
kiln.
glazes
Yes, with glazes and firing. I mean, I thought like trying to center a piece on the wheel is the hardest part, but that's actually kind of the easy thing. Once that's done, then it gets complicated because then you need to work out all the chemical reactions and firing temperatures and all those things.
And one other like really important thing behind the abandoned lot is we could go and get a pot from Kmart for $5 and put flowers on it and look very nice, probably nicer than anything I've made thus far. And I could go and get my photos instantly printed, probably at Kmart as well or anywhere. But what we're bringing back, what we're reclaiming is that process.
Yes.
So very much reviving that process for the sake of it, just purely for the joy of it and the experience of it, giving people a space and an opportunity just to stop and try their hand at something new and maybe discover something about themselves in the process.
Yeah, and that dark room experience just gives you that opportunity. I mean, you've got a you have a large part in how the photograph turns out. I suppose a lot more than I suppose digital works do. I'm not really sure. I'm no expert, but I just remember that it is a process where you can really sort of make some real interesting changes to the image.
And there's no failures in it because even if it doesn't turn out perfectly the first time, you've learnt something. And as long as you're learning something, then it's a success.
Yeah.
And you're having fun and you're de-stressing. It's like amazing, like even through work or so, like on Friday afternoons we've been having craft afternoons for upcoming events. And young people as well as their adult allies, they just come into the space on a Friday afternoon and they say, this is the most distressing thing that I've done all week. That's a beautiful way to finish the week.
Yeah.
And in the abandoned lot space, you can do that like any time.
Is it a big space?
It's big enough for what we want to do. There's sort of three different areas. So the front will, so the entrance to the space will be a sort of a lounge room setup. So you can do some activities in there, but you can also not.
Just hang out, listen to old vinyls, have your cup of coffee in a cup that's full of cat images.
And then there's sort of that centre space that will be the main activities, but we've set that up with some recycled tables out of old doors so that we'll be able to dismantle those quite easily and open that space up. And then you've got the dark room at the very back. So
now, before we go to a short music break, I know you've been putting a call out for different items, furniture and tools and all sorts of things. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for at the moment for abandoned lot? You were looking for fold-up chairs, I think, at one stage.
Yes.
Still looking for those?
Yes.
Donations, of course.
It does not have to be like full-blown donations or so we're happy to pay,
purchase
of course,
some
for those this equipment as well. But yeah, we've been really struggling to find chairs, whether it's timber or it's plastic. I mean, we could go to Bunnings and buy them for $8 or so, but that defeats the purpose.
That pre-loved look is very nice, isn't it?
And giving things new life, repurpose things again.
So you are definitely looking for chairs.
Fold-up chairs. People embark on a hobby, they think it might be a good idea and they buy the bits and pieces but nothing ever comes of it. That sort of stuff as well, because we've sort of got lots of sets and kits of different activities and different crafts, but people as well. So if people want to jump on board, if people want to come along and run workshops, or they've, as Katja said before, if they've got the talent and the interest but not the experience and skills, that's sort of where we can come in behind them and support them to develop that as well.
Yeah, so while we're talking, folks, you can be logging onto Facebook and checking it out. Well, while you're still listening, of course. Make sure you're still listening to us. But you can check out Abandoned Lot on Facebook and see what's going on there. And we're going to go and have a quick little music break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about where you're located. And I know you're having an opening event soon, I think, and what the hours are going to be and all those sorts of things. And we're talking to Katja and Kate, who both have full-time jobs, but they've also started this social enterprise as well. And it sounds like a really exciting idea and very sort of non-threatening and open to, well, everyone really, to have a go at being creative. It's wonderful. We're going to have a listen to some Tommy Emmanuel tonight. This one's called Smoky Mountain. We'll be back shortly with more of the arts program.
If you have a disability and are looking for a job you'll love, call EGF Solutions, specialising in inclusive employment. Part of the G-Force Group with local offices in Ballarat and surrounds, EGF Solutions help people of all abilities discover talents, harness strengths and find rewarding long-term employment. Once you start work, you'll receive ongoing support. EGF helps with on-site training, skill development and confidence building. Chat to the team today at EGF Solutions. The job you'll love might already be waiting for you. egf.org.au.
EGF Solutions, a proud sponsor of Voice FM.
UFS, we're here for you.
The Sturt Street UFS Pharmacy is now open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including public holidays. We even have a nurse available every night from 6 until 10 to help with minor ailments. 24/7, 365 healthcare now available at the Sturt Street UFS Pharmacy.
We're here for you.
Proud sponsor of Voice FM.
You know, we're different.
Well, you're a bit weird, but I think I'm pretty normal.
No, I mean, community radio is different. Here we are playing hardcore music. The other presenters do country, the All Aussie Music Hour, 70s and 80s, new releases,
Smooth music.
and more. There's local news and information. We even have a 13-year-old presenter doing their own show weekly.
Whoa, you're right, we are different. Community radio. It's different.
Community radio is different. It's wonderful. And you're listening to the arts program with me, Pauline O'Shaughnessy Dowling, and Lynden Nichols over the other side of the desk there. And we're talking to two very socially enterprising young women, Kate and Katja, who have just started up an enterprise called Abandoned Lot. So we've been talking about that, about what it means and what you're going to be doing, lots of different creative workshops that you can run yourself or that other people will run, you can get involved in. They're going to be very they're not going to cost too much for people to participate in. And where is this abandoned lot going to be? Where's the actual location? Are we allowed to know yet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's in Holmes Street, which is part of the Ballarat Business Centre up behind Officeworks. So running along the train line there, there's a complex that we're very lucky to be a part of.
Say the name of the street again.
Holmes Street.
HOLMS.
Yep,
Yeah.
Holmes Street. Yeah.
And we'll be in shed 2. No, we're shed. So the address is 2B Holmes Street, and we're going to be shed 8. Except we're not a shed. We're like a shop front. We're like a living room, and we're kitchen, and we are dark room, and we are a messy room.
And you can make jewellery as well.
Yeah.
You can sort of it sounds like you can kind of do a little bit of everything at this point in time. And it's really a place that anyone can go. You can be reasonably skilled or not skilled at all, learn something new. You can teach something. You know, if you've got a workshop idea, you could pitch it to you two and be running workshops yourself.
You could be somebody who has a low budget for Christmas this year and wants to come in and just make some stuff for family and friends. You could be a young band that wants to get some merch up and ready, and we'll show you how to do it. And you can come in and bring some old T-shirts and whatever. You can be anybody, and you can come in and make a lovely mess, and you don't have to walk out with anything perfect either.
And we love the idea that you actually bring stuff as well. So instead of going out and buying new T-shirts or us providing brand new stuff to screen print on or to do things with, it's about have a look in your wardrobe, have a look in a second-hand shop if you find something you really like, and bring something that's already sort of had a first life and give new life to it. So it's a lot about upcycling and sustainability as well.
Fantastic. And so you're going to have an opening event soon, aren't you, on the 8th, Sunday the 8th of December?
Yep.
In the afternoon sometime,
Yeah,
I
in the
think.
afternoon, yeah. We'll check the weather, but it'll
And of course, people can find out more about Abandoned Lot via your Facebook page and see what's going on there. You're posting up lots of images of what's going on.
Yeah,
Do you have a website as well?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's in the making, but Instagram.
You are on
We're
Instagram?
Very, very active on Instagram
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Instagram and Facebook is kind of our main channels at
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can flick us a message and you'll get on to either Katja or myself, and we're pretty quick to respond. We're on there all the time because we're pretty excited about what's happening. And
it really is exciting.
And the more the
Yeah.
merrier.
Yeah.
I guess we're inviting anybody to come and join us, but also with the understanding this is something we want to be accessible. So we're looking for people who have that community spirit like we do, and want to see this work and want to share their skills and talents and their passions with the broader community.
Yeah. So check it out on social media, but also go along and see the space and check out all of this. I know you've collected a lot. You both collected a lot of equipment to bring into this new enterprise. So people can have a dabble in a whole lot of different things, which is fantastic.
And if you've got some chairs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so you are looking for chairs. You do need chairs for people to sit
chairs,
on.
yeah, especially to run workshops.
Yeah.
We're going to have some straw bales and things for garden beds, but I don't know, it's probably not ideal to sit on straw bales to run workshops.
Yeah.
So chairs, foldable chairs, plastic, wooden, whatever works would be awesome.
Yeah, for some reason they're in short supply, which is a bit unusual. Anything else you kind of need urgently at this point in time? You've sort of got other stuff happening,
No urgency around anything, but if you've got something there that you think could have a second life and might be usable and appreciated, then very much get in contact and we'll soon let you know.
Fantastic. Well, what a wonderful creative venture. We're going to follow that with great interest and see what's happening.
Back soon.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're always welcome to come back and tell us how things are going and what's coming up and all that sort of thing. And so the opening hours are kind of fluid because people might want to actually rent the space themselves or hire the space themselves, but you will have some opening hours when people can float in and out and do various things. Is that right?
Mostly after hours and weekends will be when we're running it because we are both working full-time currently, but flexible.
And that's just something else I want to say before we finish up is congratulations on throwing around these ideas and then sort of taking it, running with it, like in just less than 2 months and bringing it to fruition. And I know I heard you two speaking before that you do work well together, I think, don't you? And you are used to sort of throwing ideas around and making things happen.
Yeah.
And we've seen both of you do that. So congratulations on that too.
Look, I also want to just say thank you for your encouragement and support and enthusiasm. It's that sort of backing that's really pushed us along, I think. And we haven't had anybody say no, and we haven't had anybody say, but what about? It's all been really positive and encouraging.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, so
well,
thanks.
Good luck. Good luck with all of that. It sounds fantastic. All right, well, we're going to listen to some more Tommy Emmanuel. This one's Ruby's Eyes. We'll be back with more of the Arts program very shortly.
The Ballarat Business Centre is expanding and growing to provide more office space and business support to small and emerging businesses across the region. By adding 706 3rd Street to its current suite of services, the Ballarat Business Centre will have more than 70 service office spaces, 8 industrial workshops and business support services across 3 unique sites. To find out more, contact Voice FM sponsor, the Ballarat Business Centre on 5364 2900 or visit ballaratbusiness.com.au.
Recycling in Ballarat is changing. Be one of the thousands of people in Ballarat who recycle the right way. No glass in recycling bins. To recycle your glass, take it to a free glass drop-off site across Ballarat at Alfred Square, Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club, Buninyong, Gillies Street Transfer Station, Lucas, Midvale Shopping Complex, Miners Rest General Store and Stockland Wendouree. More locations coming soon. Recycling in Ballarat is changing. A message from the City of Ballarat and Community Radio, Voice FM. Caring for the community.
Classical Delights can be heard every Friday afternoon from 1 till 3 here on 99.9 Voice FM. I'm Nichols and I share this show with my good friend Anne Woods, who brings her own inimitable style to the program. You can hear Albinoni to Zamfir, Baroque to Contemporary and just about anything in between. Tune in for Classical Delights and enjoy the wide variety of music.
And with that fanfare, we are back to the arts program here at 99.9 Voice FM. And of course, the arts program goes to air, live to air, every Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. right through until 8 p.m. And we have a wonderful variety of creatives that come on the show. And right now, we're about to speak with visual artist Melinda Muscat and another visual artist, Deborah Lee Klein.
The other one.
Well, yes, the other one. Yes, it wasn't that long ago that you were known as Deborah Klein, but you've gone the big differentiation, haven't you, and added in Lee as well.
Periodically, depending on what I'm doing.
Taking a stage name.
Yeah. And welcome back to both of you.
Yeah.
To come back in the studio again. It's great to see both of you, and it's exciting because you're exhibiting together, but not in Ballarat. You're exhibiting together out of Ballarat, out there in the region
this
somewhere.
Town's not big enough for us. We had to move on.
Yeah.
We've soiled. Had to go somewhere else.
You've been beavering away there in the background, and here you are. Because you actually exhibited not that long ago your paper art, Deborah Lee Klein.
Yeah, it was its first incarnation. Well, second incarnation
at Ballarista, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did Ballarista just before, and as the Photo Biennale was starting, so that would have been August, September.
Yeah. Melinda Muscat, I don't know that you've exhibited for a little while, have you?
No, it has been a while, I think. Yeah. Maud, Fabulous Maud last year, I think.
Yeah, so that's probably around a year ago.
Yeah.
Probably around a year ago now.
She's got a few things lined up. You've got this.
Yep.
Then you've got the Mercure.
Yes, the Mercure in May next year.
That's fabulous.
Yep. So let's talk about first things first, and then we'll talk about all of the things that you've got lined up, because we find that really exciting, don't we, Lynden?
We do.
We get very excited. So you're both going to be exhibiting at the Arnold Street Gallery in Bendigo.
Yes.
Yeah, is that right in the centre of town there?
It's not. It's sort of out beyond where the hospital complex is.
So
it's out sort of in one of the residential neighbourhoods. But Susan's been running it for about 5 years. So it's been there for a while. It's a little shop front, a refurbished shop front. So it's a cute little space.
Yes.
And she does curate the exhibitions that come through, so she does do that selection. It's a paid space, but it's an opportunity to show our work outside the confines of our friends and family.
yeah, that's it.
And see what the general public has to say
and think. It's I suppose it's exciting, but a little bit nerve-wracking as well to, I suppose, go somewhere where, I don't know, maybe you don't know that many people in Bendigo. I'm not really sure.
But it's kind of a good thing just to test the waters somewhere else and see how another audience might react to your work.
Yeah. Different market. Different way of seeing things.
And is there something with your work that brings it together, or is it because because you're friends, or because you've discussed exhibiting together? I know, Melinda, is this work of yours? Is it your skull work, your beautiful decorative
that will
skulls?
Make up a big part of it.
Not human skulls, of course.
No, yes. Could go there. That is a big part of what I'm exhibiting. And two-dimensional works as well. Some of the two-dimensional work is kind of drifting away from the imagery that I've done in the past.
So paintings we're talking about here?
Yes, but a lot of it's works on paper, and I kind of got tired of my usual style, so in order to try and break away from that, I'm traditionally an oil painter, so I've made myself go into watercolour, ink and gouache and colour pencils, all the things. I basically, if I didn't normally use it, that's what I made myself use this time around, just to break free a little bit. But to answer your question, it is partially because of friendship and partially, I guess we are very both flora, fauna, sort of, imagery.
Yeah, the odd creatures are definitely sort of a common link, I think. I think we sort of quite a probably a related way of working. I mean, the outcomes are quite different,
Yeah.
but I think we certainly appreciate. I mean, I love the work that Melinda does and has done.
Deborah's.
So there you go. It's a mutual admiration society. But again, we do have the common theme of creatures and animals and strange beings and things. So, so we do have that commonality. And I've always sort of looked at Melinda's work as sort of being, I used to call it the, rug punk, I think, and it has that sort of surrealist edge. So it's interesting to sort of see her working more into more abstract work as well. So it's really exciting. It's an exciting.
It is exciting. It really is. Yeah. And before we go back to your new work, Melinda, Deborah, how do we describe your paper work, paper sculpture? Is that how we describe it?
I use the term dimensional illustration.
Dimensional illustration, yes.
Because it means nothing. But again, they're not three-dimensional sculptures. I have done that in the past, and certainly I've done installations and things. But the stuff I will be showing are the high relief illustrations, and again, primarily animals.
What sort of paper do you use?
A mix of
anything.
A mix of acid-free art papers. Because in a lot of the heavier weight watercolor papers are favorite of mine because they have so much clay and fixative in it. So when you wet them and mold them and etch and emboss them, they hold their form. When they dry, they hold the form really nicely. So they can be quite sculptural themselves.
So you're making, they kind of look like 3D relief.
Yes.
Pieces.
Well, they are 3D, but they're not. You can't walk around.
No, they're high. They're a high relief.
Yes.
So they're high relief.
And you'll generally frame them.
They're framed.
But are they? Do they have form or are they just like I'm not quite sure how to explain what I'm trying to ask you, but
they're built up of layers of paper.
Yes.
To build a sense of perspective and dimension within each of the images, each of the structures, and those layers are founded on, we've talked about this before, very careful drawing. So I try to provide the sense of a third dimension within the figure by the way that the paper is manipulated and the way that I interpret the drawing and build the layers for each of the forms.
And the works that you're showing in Bendigo are new works?
There's half new, half ones that have been seen before, a few that haven't been out for a bit. So I've been working, beavering away, doing a lot of that towards this show until we started making Christmas windows. Then I downed.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute too, if we can.
So Melinda and I have been in conversation a lot over the last year or so. We've been planning this show, what we're going to show, how it's all going to meld, and then what new directions we want to go in that we could possibly support with this, and just begin to test the waters a bit with some of the newer approaches.
Fantastic. And so, Melinda, you have worked figuratively in the past. So have you moved to abstraction for this exhibition?
Not specifically for this exhibition, but I have most definitely moved into the abstract. I think Deborah put it best when she came over one day and she saw the new paintings and she said, so it's just about the colour now, is it? Because basically that is all that is left. But I sort of feel like it was always about the colour.
Yes.
And about imagery as well. But it sort of became, the last show, as you know, that we shared a space, my show was called Colour. But there was still a lot of imagery in there. And I think at the end of sort of revising that show, I sort of thought, why did it have to be about everything else? Why can't it just be about the colour if that is what's really important to me? So I'm heading down that road more and more. And
good on you.
And what about the skulls?
Well, the skulls are colourful in themselves too, and there's a big variety there where some are still patterned. I think there'll be one that's got aquatic plastic plants stuck on it just for the contrast of the green to the pink that I've painted it.
So are they all cows or sheep? Or?
They're generally sheep, in this show.
Do you climb through fences and go inside them?
I generally, people leave them on my front doorstep or I buy them. People seem to like, if you kind of weird little second-hand garage sales and antique shops will sometimes, out in the country help.
So they're not hard to come by for you?
No, not really,
This country could have
but you can never have too many. But Yeah.
It's sweet that people leave them on your
It
doorstep.
is. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Melinda, like a cat, leaving a mouse on your doorstep.
Yeah.
Little love offerings.
And I suppose the skull, if you don't mind me saying, it's kind of one of your motifs, isn't it? Like the sheep skull with the beautiful decorative work
I guess
on it.
I've been doing that for a few years now, and I don't really tire of them because they just keep evolving what I do to them, and just, I guess because each one has a personality. Unlike, say, if you're using a square canvas is a square canvas, but starting with something that was once living and has, nature has taken its way on it, that it always looks different to begin with. So your surface, your beginning is always already different. Yeah.
And before we move on to new projects other projects that you've both got happening, this exploration into this more abstract work, what's it been like? Is it scary or is it really liberating?
At first scary, but once I allowed myself to do what I really wanted to do, then it just instantly became the most freeing thing. I was sort of starting to feel a bit trapped within my own style, and just to go, right, I am actually going to do what I really want to do, what I feel like doing, and that is just going with the colours.
Does the artwork then just become it is what it is? So whatever eventuates, well, that's just what the art is?
I still sometimes, I will start a painting out with an idea in mind, or say I want to concentrate on these particular colours, and then it'll evolve, and like it can even with the works that are based around imagery, sometimes it'll look like what you planned in the first point, and sometimes it'll completely look totally different to what you started out thinking it's going to be.
Yeah, it's a really exciting place to be, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah. But we will still see your colour. I mean, you're known for your colourful work.
My colours are very much me.
Yeah. Ooh, how exciting. Now, I'm just going to play a few ads and then we're going to come back. And I think I heard you mention something about Christmas windows and other exhibitions that you're... are we allowed to talk about that?
I think we can.
Yeah. And Melinda, I think you have some other exhibitions coming up that you're working on. Maybe we'll hear a little bit about that. We'll see what we can drag out of you anyway. Yeah. So we'll be back in a moment, folks.
AMRAP stands for the Australian Music Radio Airplay Project. AMRAP is a community radio initiative that works with musicians and community broadcasters to get great Australian music national airplay faster. Over 900 broadcasters now use AMRAP's Air It pages to promote Australian musicians. Check them out at www.amrap.com.au.
Recycling in Ballarat is changing. Be one of the thousands of people in Ballarat who recycle the right way. No glass in recycling bins. To recycle your glass, take it to a free glass drop-off site across Ballarat at Alfred Square, Ballarat Greyhound Racing Club, Buninyong, Gillies Street Transfer Station, Lucas, Midvale Shopping Complex, Miners Rest General Store and Stockland Wendouree. More locations coming soon. Recycling in Ballarat is changing. A message from the City of Ballarat and Community Radio, Voice FM. Caring for the community.
Hi, I'm Rob Gray. What you hear on Community Radio is governed by the Community Radio Codes of Practice. The Codes of Practice cover matters relating to program content, including local content, news, current affairs, Australian music content, programs for children, and the responsibilities associated with broadcasting to the community. The codes also cover aspects such as community access and participation in the operation of this service. Copies of the codes are available by contacting the station or by visiting our website at www.voicefm.com.au. At Voice FM, we encourage listener participation and we welcome your feedback by visiting the website or contacting the station.
And of course, yes, we're moving up to Berkeley Square very soon. We'll be in our new digs, and there's actually an open day up at the Berkeley Square location this Friday. I can't remember exactly what the starting time is, but you can look that up. There's actually there's a Berkeley Square Facebook page, so you can jump on there and find out. But there's going to be market stalls and face painting and all sorts of things.
The Twilight Market is that evening from 5 to 8. That's the Regional Multicultural Council's
So
first of the year.
you can head up there and check out where we are heading to. Now, we're speaking with Deborah Lee Klein and Melinda Muscat. And before we move on to your next projects, your exhibition in Bendigo, The Others, it is called, you're both running workshops as well while the exhibition's on.
Yeah, it's one of the options that they offer there, which is great. So I'll have a paper engineering or paper sculpture workshop on the
1st of December.
Thank you. When you're opening at Barclay Square. Anyway, that's okay. And it's from 1 to 4 p.m. at Arnold Street Gallery. There is a fee associated, and there's some materials. But
and limited numbers, I do believe.
Well, they keep their workshop. The space isn't particularly large, so they keep the numbers small. So it's a nice, intimate experience, and it's an opportunity to interact quite deeply with the artists, the presenters, and it's a great opportunity for people to sort of try their hands at new things.
Sounds like
it's been a great program she's been running up there.
Yeah. And Melinda, you're doing painted skulls workshop.
Yes, the following week
on the
after
7th.
On the 7th.
1 to 4 p.m. as well.
Yeah. So people can have a go at sort of doing similar stuff to what
do
I
they have to bring their own skull?
It wouldn't hurt, but we can supply them if need be. Yes. Yeah, but again, limited numbers.
Yeah.
Mainly on account of supplying the skulls. Yeah, and space. Yeah.
And you're both always very busy. Melinda, you've got another exhibition coming up before too long, I believe, at the Mercure.
Yes, that's in May though, so I have a bit of time to work towards that one too.
We'll try not to freak you out.
That's a big exhibition space.
It is. Yeah, it's a great sort of space because it lends itself to bigger works and smaller, and I kind of like working around their furniture. Even doesn't bother me. Yeah.
And great opening hours too.
All the time.
Yeah, all
actually, yeah. And just
it's a new market. You know, it's people who are coming into the Mercure for conferences, from business meetings, for this. You know, they're the one facility we have in Ballarat for outside business, and it's great because it brings people in who would normally never see our work otherwise. So it's a great space to sort of showcase.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you'll be exploring this style that you're
most
working
definitely.
on.
I'll be taking that even further for that show. But I'm not the only one showing there. Deborah is also showing there.
Yes, I can't give you the exact dates. In the autumn, I'm following on from. I'm just doing what she does. So I'm following on in the autumn at Mercure. I do have a group show that I'm part of at Backspace Gallery in.
That's in May.
Yeah, so that's going to be great.
A group show.
Yes. Yes. So,
Deborah, I'm just sitting here looking at you speaking and getting really excited that here you are creating again.
Doing other things. Yeah,
it is good, isn't it?
Enjoying it?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I really didn't visit my workshop except to dust things for about 7 years while I was with council.
Yeah.
So it's fabulous. It's full on, chock-a-block. I've been working day and night. When I'm not doing my paid work, I'm doing my other paid work in my studio. Yeah. It's a fabulous opportunity.
Yeah,
so
it really is.
We'll see what comes of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what else might be coming up in the future? That's probably enough, but...
Well, that's it. We do have the windows that we can talk about.
Oh, can we? So
we'll talk a little bit about that. That's all right.
These are Christmas windows?
City of Ballarat has commissioned 6 artists to produce a themed Christmas windows, so special decorative windows using some of the empty shop fronts around town. They're all empty, I think largely empty at this point. And so there are 6 artists in town beavering away at the moment as well, creating work for those windows. Each of us has 2. And for me, it's an opportunity to take my work out of that domestic framed format and actually work big. So these are large format works, pieces that I'm creating for this, still within sort of the realm of where I operate. So that's a great opportunity. So.
And are you both doing that?
We are both doing it separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you producing 2D works. What are you up to?
Yeah, most likely 2D. Although I have done plaster works for these sorts of things before, so I might do a bit more of that. And I don't know, the idea keeps growing. You know, you go for a bushwalk and gather some half a gum tree and think, I'll go home and paint that gold, I think,
And when will these Christmas windows be unveiled? I wonder?
Yeah, the 6th or...
We have to install by the 6th of December, so I think that for the next couple of days after that, there'll be large unveiling. So we're essentially working under cover of darkness and behind, closed curtains and things until that time. And then
Are we allowed to know? Are we allowed to know at this point in time which windows they are, or is that a surprise as well? Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe I should know.
The general theme is 12 days of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, what you're looking at. Okay. So you've got
the first 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And juniper tree
and two turtle doves. Yeah. So mine being the first, we'll start with mine in Central Square, and they basically move down through town in sequential order, heading towards the mall. And I guess towards the end of the mall would be, the 12th day of Christmas. Yeah.
How exciting!
Yeah. So
I can't wait.
I've got the 4th day and the 10th day, so we're sort of 4 and 10. I have to produce 10 things.
Oh, that all sounds fantastic.
It's beautiful. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Good luck with the exhibition, the others. Did we tell people when that starts?
It opens, we're installing this weekend on Saturday, and so it'll open from Sunday, but the opening and launch will be the 23rd.
23rd,
November.
2 till 4.
Okay.
So we might just get a bus together and have to go up there.
What a great idea.
Caravan
and you can find out more about the Arnold Street Gallery as usual on Facebook, and they have a website and all that sort of thing, so you can see what's going on there. Lots of different events and things coming up. Well, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to have you in the studio again to hear about
stuff.
About all the stuff.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you again for having us.
An absolute pleasure. We're going to have a listen to some more Tommy Emmanuel, and we'll be back very shortly with our next guest. That's the wonderful Tommy Emmanuel, and that piece is called Tapestry. Nice and moody for this Wednesday evening. Really, really lovely to listen to. It sort of soothes the soul, I think, a little bit.
Doing all these actions.
Oh, yes, I'm very expressive here in the studio.
You've learned from the BCMA drama students, I think.
I reckon I have.
How to act.
I have learned from
emotions.
them. Yes. And now we're very pleased to have in the studio Tara Poole. Welcome, Tara.
Thanks so much, Pod.
You're
Hi, Lynden. Thank you for taking a photo at this moment. It's like taking a photo when I'm eating.
As we're saying hello. And of course, for those of you that don't know, of course, Tara is the coordinator of Creative City Ballarat. And you periodically come in and tell us about loads and loads of wonderful things that are happening in the city since, especially I think, well, I mean, Ballarat is well known as a creative city, but since the creative strategy was released, I think there's been an extra oomph in our collective step, I would say. Dare I say it?
I think that's probably true, but also what's really true is that the city has spent taking more attention to the creatives and the makers and the artisans that we have here. Like it's actually being quite serious about the practitioners that exist, whether they're tiny little people working on their kitchen table doing stuff late at night, or they're actually people who have built a practice. So I think that's really helped the city understand. We've had some really interesting moments over the last sort of 6 to 8 months about the city. By the city, I mean like the council planners and people understanding how artists work.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
people have had a few aha moments.
They have some interesting moments. Not to name names. Perfect case in point was we had a particular incident where planners made a decision without really thinking about what was involved, and a piece of artwork was involved. And people got upset and raised this with us, and we arranged a round table with the planners, and that's resulted with the planners actually putting in place new practices to understand, what a mural looks like, what artwork looks like, and how to deal with that when it comes up in there, because they'd done everything correctly according to the rules, but it was just about education, about understanding how to perceive artwork in the city environs. So really, really interesting. There's been some really interesting moments and some great achievements. And
absolutely, yes. And I do want to talk in a moment about our new UNESCO listing, but talking about good moments, the city has been receiving some awards for the Creative City Strategy.
The development of the Creative City Strategy and the master plan. So there's two elements together. The planners and the economic development team decided to put it forward to various different places, like the Planning Institute of Australia and the Economic Development Association, and we took out both top prizes for the most innovative approach to creative city planning. We got a report card, which I said I have to show that to my mum. But we got a report card which was really interesting, sort of actually highlighting the fact that we'd taken a really novel approach to the way in which we're engaging with creatives and makers and putting them at the heart of what we do.
So what's an example of that novel approach?
The novel approach is, well, firstly, hiring someone like me apparently is quite novel. Secondly,
as opposed to
a planner.
Well, the role
itself is actually, quite specific, where they've actually blended arts and culture and economic development, and they've sort of made it the same level of importance, which is really interesting.
But I suppose for a lot of artists and creatives, that's a bit of a no-brainer in a sense, isn't it? That you
completely.
would,
I mean, so much of what we're talking about, and your audience will just go, "Oh, duh," that's kind of, well, of course you should be doing that. But you've got to see it from the other person's point of view, who might never have been exposed to creative thought, or their processes are completely different. Their ways of building a city are completely different. So my job is to translate between the two groups.
So what are some of the other things that we're currently doing that people are awarding us for? So notice how I'm saying us.
Well, it's true. It is us. That's the thing, is that it is about the community that we have here. The one thing that's really prominent at the moment that's sticking out a lot for different commentators is actually our program called Fringe Benefits, the music program that we've designed. Again, a little bit of a no-brainer from a creative person's thinking, that we've actually got all of these amazing performers in town. We've got these incredible venues, so why don't we match them up and have a festival, which was kind of how we arrived at the Fringe Benefits program. But to attack it onto the underside of a major festival that was already coming to town to maximise what we already had, that's added different ways of thinking. So Music Victoria particularly really interested in that approach. There have been lots of discussions about this approach and how it can be used.
So it hasn't really been done before?
No, and I was really surprised. I know, you would think that, hey, it's kind of straightforward, don't you think? But the way it's been taken up is that we've invested the live music strategy part of the Creative City strategy, which, we've inherited and reshaping and forming underneath the Creative City strategy to maximise it as much as I can, means that we can actually have live music in all of these really weird and wonderful venues, traditional venues too, like, a lot of bars and clubs and things are taking part, over 35 venues and locations, and there's 127 performers taking part in that festival. Gosh. And a lot of them have come out of the woodwork and said, I'd like to have a go, and they've been linked up. And then on top of all of that, we're having free council-sponsored events, which is where the Backyard Tasters has evolved to. So that's actually gone, we'll be taking over the Central Square rooftop car park and covering it with grass and trees and chairs for the night. And the University Pipe Band will be up there, followed rapidly by 2 rock bands. So
this all happens in a 12-hour period, doesn't it? From 12 midday to
12 a.m.
12 a.m.
Yeah, on the Friday the 29th.
That's right, the day before Spilt Milk, because our numbers estimate that the people who come to town the night before, roughly about 7,000 additional people will come to town that night, and then there's 25,000 expected the day of. So we're thinking that they'll want something to do. They want somewhere to go. So that's one of the more novel approach. Apparently that's more novel. It just strikes me as common sense. But, you know, it's apparently more novel. So, that's been the approach, has been to put arts and culture right at the heart of events or tourism or marketing, and then the tourism and marketing people go, oh, great, something to promote.
Well, I suppose, you know, traditionally, there is that way of seeing, say, spilt milk coming into town. It's a bit like you could choose to see White Night coming into town as external people coming and superimposing their thing on the town. But you don't, as we've just been talking about, you don't necessarily have to see it like that or accept it like that.
No, and it was a great thing about White Night was that there was 1 year of 3. So they had 3 years to get it right and work with the relationships with local artisans and makers. That's to be said that most events all events in the city have an obligation to use a percentage of their performers and suppliers to be from the local community. That's written into the events plans. Right. So that has to happen anyway. But when you've got special things like White Night, where there's an opportunity for our makers to really have a role, that's where I come into my own, where I can actually sit there and say, have you thought about the following people? And that's why it's really important that we have a really strong database of all the artists and makers that we have in town.
I was just going to mention that. People can find that really easily too, can't they? If you go via, the City of Ballarat Facebook page or website, you can register yourself as a maker there, can't you?
You can. There's a creativeballarat.com.au website.
Yep.
And that tracks all of the stuff that we're doing under the Creative City Strategy, and you can register yourself there as an artisan or a maker or a theatre person, a performer or an actor, and we classify everyone, and then when a job comes up and is available, we can circulate it to those people who are on that list that it's the most appropriate for.
And does somebody looking for a creative have access to that database, or is that more in-house?
That's in-house, yeah. So it's a bit like you think about Arts Atlas and the way in which people have been using that in the past, and now we're reaching a point where we probably need to have access to these people so we can actually, because we can't email people through Arts Atlas, sadly. So we thought we'd have to just build a new database so we could reach everyone. So that's got about 1,200 people on it already. And that's everyone from illustrators, designers, crafters, makers, leatherworkers, all the way across to visual artists, sculptors and performers.
So anyone out there that wants to put their name on the database, do it.
So, just visit creativeballarat.com.au and you'll find it in the opportunities section.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I really want to find out more about our UNESCO Creative City listing, I call it.
Yes.
But
did it come out of the blue for you?
Well, yeah, it did, yeah.
It was it's a really interesting set of circumstances. The Creative Cities Network of UNESCO is an important network. It's 208 cities from around the world. And
that's not that many, is it?
It's not that many. And within Australia, Sydney is a city of film, Melbourne's a city of literature, Adelaide's a city of music. So the three capital cities had a grip on it. And then a few years ago, Geelong secured City of Design. So there was a lot of discussion, particularly within Victoria, that the regional cities should work together to become a united front of UNESCO creative cities. So the cities got together. Bendigo had put together their plans on becoming a city of gastronomy, and they worked for about 2 years to put their submission together. And then the city of craft came about, mainly because, music's already taken by Adelaide, food's already taken by Bendigo, and we looked at, how we could essentially join that creative network. So we submitted our interest based on the experience that we went through with the Creative City Strategy, and we were successful, which is really surprising. Granted, I know a lot of people sitting there going, what do you mean craft? We don't do craft. But in actual fact, if you break it down and you actually pull the city apart and actually look at the makers and the artisans that we actually have, craft and folk art is a really, really important part of a creative ecosystem. And we have an incredibly strong seam of makers who hail from this area. We were really focused on going back beyond the goldfields as well, back beyond. We have a cultural cringe in Australia, especially around craft, which is really disappointing. But the craft that is actually, handled by the Wadawurrung, particularly in the making of baskets from local grasses, is a technique and a skill of which only probably 2 or 3 makers in the city actually have access to. And that's in danger of being lost, and we really need to protect it. So we know it goes back to the Budgebim World Heritage eel trap locations to the west of us. We know that these practices were done in this area, and we need to maintain that. So it's less about a celebration of the fact that, oh, aren't we great, we're actually producing lots of lumpy jumpers and poorly made ceramic pots. We actually do have a history of craft as survival, and that's a really interesting, if you look at it through that lens, everything becomes really fascinating. So what kind of ceramics did we use on the goldfields? We had a really strong Chinese component here. Were they pit firing? And if so, where were they pit firing? So if we track and look at the history there and then tie it into our current history, which is really powerful, our ceramics school here is extremely well known, and has produced the most amazing alumni of makers, and you would never know that they were there. And then we actually have a really strong fibre section, so that's the area we're going to be concentrating on.
Fantastic. So there is that very strong historical link, that you've just talked about, where we've come from. So what does this listing mean for now and in the future?
It's a question of what we make of it. And I think that's about the commitment of the city to say, we understand that makers are at the heart of what we do. So that puts pressure on us as a city to log and document and make sure that we've got access and understand who the makers are that are out there, provide support, education, training, services and how to maintain your business, how to export your business if that's what you want to do. If you even want to be a business, you don't have to be. It means about investing in programs. So we have already launched, and this kind of fast-tracked by our sudden announcement with UNESCO, the festival, The Art of Making, which is an Open Studios program in April 2020. That's now open and looking for people who want to take part. We'll be doing that in conjunction with Craft Victoria. Craft Victoria will be coming up here and hosting sessions on basically how to make your practice sustainable. It's Craft Victoria's 50th anniversary next year, so they're looking forward to celebrating that up here with us, which is amazing. We haven't had this opportunity, I think, ever really, to have state government bodies come up and do these kinds of things with us. So, we're working in conjunction with Craft Victoria to put together that program for April 2020.
And does that also includes an open studio program as well?
It does. Yeah. We're looking for open studios now. So if anyone wants to throw their doors open, they don't have to be craft people or people who deem themselves in the craft sector. You could be a visual artist, you could be a musician, you could be any. We're actually just having an open studio program anyway. So that's called The Art of Making. The Open Studios runs from the 3rd to the 16th of April, so it covers the school holidays. We've got strategic alliances with Fed Uni, who'll be throwing open their ceramics studio to do masterclasses. At this point, we're discussing bringing several international ceramicists into the city to give masterclasses to ceramicists who are here. We've also got Fibre Arts Australia has their national conference here at the same time, so they'll be demonstrating all of their fibre works, particularly with dyeing and other weaving programs. So there's a lot happening around that period of time.
Well, I was thinking of going away just then, Tara.
I suppose it is.
I come with you.
So early April, I can't go away.
3rd to the 16th.
3rd to the 16th.
And all the way over the Easter holidays.
Easter, okay.
Yeah. So the great thing is that, again, the tourism part of the city is looking for reasons to promote the city to be a great place to visit, and I'm going, here's a really good one.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to maximising it further with them.
And artists that want to be involved with that, they can check out the opportunity. I think there's an opportunities page, isn't there?
There is. There's also a section not just called Craft. So you just visit the creativeballarat.com.au website. There's a craft button, click on that. All the information about UNESCO's there and how to register for open studios for next year.
Very exciting.
It is. It's exhausting.
Yes.
But man, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And is there a kind of I think you said 208 cities worldwide. It's not very many cities that have that that creative listing.
No.
Is there a bit of a camaraderie between the cities?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was really lucky enough to go to Adelaide recently and meet with some of the craft cities. We didn't know we were going to be selected at this time, I have to let you know. I was just, we knew that we'd submitted, we knew we'd be shortlisted, but we sat down and met with people from the Philippines and people from Chiang Mai and, people from all over the world who, for whom craft and folk art has a very different meaning. So it's really interesting to sort of see the cultural shifts, the cultural differences between the cities. But one thing is really true, and that the practice of craft is something that's done throughout time, and it has a history, and it tells us stories. It tells us stories of how we survived before times, and then when colonialism came in, and then how art and craft changed at that point. That's true for all of them, and that's where we share commonalities, which is amazing. So we can actually be sitting down and talking. I was talking to the wonderful women from Chiang Mai, and they were discussing how their treatment of their national craft had changed with colonialism, or had changed because of tribalism. Now, we don't have those issues here in Australia, but our stories of colonialism are equally as valid and need to be captured on the same page. So I'm so excited by what the opportunities are. We've got opportunities to take crafters from here and put them in places in Melbourne with Craft Victoria to do reverse residencies, and there's new spaces coming up and available that we'll be able to talk about in the near future to be able to celebrate these kinds of things. It's just professionalising us as a city and allowing all artists and creatives and makers to share the platform. Not one voice is louder than another, or we're trying really hard not for it to be that way.
Well, I think with the advent of the strategy, I mean, it's a great opportunity for people to just put their hand up and say, look, I'm here, and get involved and perhaps get in touch with you and see what's available, or see what you can offer, or don't
get in touch at all. That's absolutely fine. If people shouldn't feel obligated to need to connect, but they should feel that there are opportunities for them should they want them. Equally, we should be open as a city that, if I bump into the city, if I move here and I decide to just start practicing my silk screening, of which I was just talking to a silk screener yesterday who moved here a few months ago. She hasn't connected with the city yet, but she's still operating her business, and she's saying this is a great place to be, So I don't have to be part of things, or I can.
Yes.
And what you can't do, though, and which people used to do, is choose not to be part of things and then grumble that nothing's happening and they're never part of things.
I've kind of come to this conclusion that I work for council. There's always going to be someone that grumbles.
We have an anti-grumbling philosophy, don't we, Lynden?
We do. No grumbling.
AGP. Yeah. Oh, well, it's very exciting time to be a creative in Ballarat, I must say.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Is there anything else we need to chat about in terms of what's happening?
What's happening on the agenda
with the strategy and what's unfolding? And I mean, that's plenty.
Well, I know. Well, there's certainly lots more that we will be bringing to life in the new financial year. So watch out for things like grant funds and opportunities for new spaces. We have been shortlisted for one of the Creative Victoria co-working creative spaces. People will know this place. It's called BLX. It's at 36 Camp Street.
Yes.
So we've worked out who owns it, and we've negotiated some very interesting arrangements with them. And now the question is whether we can just get some funding for releasing it to be a co-working filming space with a gallery, and also I suppose it's like a collaborative space, particularly for digital and new media to meet with old school media. Things like musicians working closely with the gaming industry, and illustrators and graphic designers also working with digital artists. So there's certainly lots happening. There's certainly lots mooted and planned. I'm busy managing expectations now, because some of these things aren't going to happen. Some of them will.
Go for it.
Oh, you do. You've got to be in it to win it. Yes. And I think that's what we're happy to do. So,
Well, congratulations on the various awards.
Fingers crossed we pick up the Premier's Design Award next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
We've been shortlisted for that as well.
Okay, we'll keep an ear out for that one.
I don't know whether this actually means anything to anyone, but it's kind of nice.
It always gets a bit of gets a bit of, I suppose,
A flurry of
airplay, doesn't it?
interest.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be able to go and talk to state government departments and say, did you hear?
But what happens though when you apply for things like that and get shortlisted and win or not win? The strategy or whatever has been exposed to a wider group of people.
People's opinions on Ballarat are changing, and I think it's long overdue. We have, as a creative city, often rested on our laurels a bit and not proactively taken ourselves into town, gone to see the state people, gone to see the federals, and say, by the way, why is all that money going to other cities? It really could come here. And nobody's really given me a good enough answer for that, so I'm going to find out where the money is.
So you might be heading to Canberra at some stage to do a little bit of tapping on the shoulders. I can see you doing that.
I have no shame, so it's fine.
Well, you've got to have a bit of chutzpah, don't you?
Yeah,
to get all of this stuff happening. Well, congratulations.
Oh, well,
Tara,
let's hold
the city. And
let's hold the congratulations till all this stuff's up and operational, and we're only as good as the participation of your listeners. So if you've got makers and creatives out there who want to take part in an open studio, now's the time. Now's the time.
Now's the time to check that out and get your name on that list. Fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll have you back again soon to tell us about what's happening next and keep us up to date, keep our listeners up to date, because we're always dying to hear what's going on with the strategy and what's being implemented and what's coming up. So thanks very much, Tara Poole, who is the coordinator, Creative City Strategy, and as we heard just before, that is a brand new role. So it's all in motion. You're sort of making it up as you go along, aren't you? Like in terms of what that role actually means. So
absolutely,
that's very exciting for the city.
Creating it,
and yes, and part of the reason that the city received that recent award as well because of that role was created as well.
Yes,
so
that's right.
It's terrific.
They're taking a punt on me, and we're taking a punt on them. So.
All good. All right, well, we'll have a little music break. We're going to listen to some more Tommy Emmanuel, and this one is Tears for Jerusalem, and we'll be back very shortly with more of the arts program, so stay tuned. And that's Tommy Emmanuel again. I'm really enjoying that music tonight. It's very soothing. Are you finding it very soothing, Lynden, the music tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's otherwise occupied. She's not even really listening to me. I have to show
certainly slowed you down, Paul.
Oh, do you think? Yes, well, enough of that. Now in the studio we have Alex, Lizzy and Shelley from Federation University, and you are all students from the Arts Academy.
Yes.
And you're all about to graduate this year, which means that there is an I exhibition about to happen. I meaning end of year.
End of year exhibition.
End of year exhibition, 2019. That's what I. So there's an I exhibition every year. There has been for some time. I think they've been using that acronym for a while now.
Quite some time, yeah. I understand it's somewhere in the vicinity of 20 years.
Oh,
that
long?
Longer.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
There's always been an end-of-year exhibition, but I'm not entirely sure how long that name's been in place.
That's fantastic.
I think that's much more recent, but yeah.
I love that. I love that kind of continuity. It sort of really marks that end-of-year exhibition coming up, doesn't it? And, of course... so the exhibition opens this Friday evening, doesn't it, at the Mining Exchange?
Yeah, that's right.
It's always at the Mining Exchange.
Yeah, always
Isn't
has been. It's opening at 6 p.m. this Friday.
Yeah, and who exhibits in the show?
So it'll be students graduating from the Bachelor of Visual Arts, the Bachelor of Communication Design, and the Graduate Diploma of Ceramics, and also we've got the Advanced Diploma of Graphic Design. So there's, I think, somewhere over 22 students representing.
Yeah, there's definitely a good variety of works and a lot of great people.
It's usually a great night.
Yeah.
Lots of wonderful work, which is usually often for sale. Not all of it, I suppose, but some of it, all of it.
A lot of it is,
So apart from everything else, apart from the fact that you're showing your folios, people can actually buy really nice artwork that's very affordable. isn't it?
Yeah,
just in time for Christmas.
Just in time for Christmas.
Absolutely, always very well timed. So, Alex, what sort of work do you do?
So I mainly do acrylic painting, mainly of seascapes. Yeah, because I'm originally from Warrnambool, so I've come up for uni, and so I mainly focus on the coastal landscapes of the southwest Victoria.
Beautiful. And what's it like to be graduating at last? Is it a 3-year course that you've done?
Yes, it's 3 years.
Bachelor?
Yeah, it's exciting, but sad at the same time.
Yeah. And you have another role as part of this. You're the president of something?
Yeah,
or?
I'm president of the Art Society on campus, on Camp Street.
Yeah.
Yep, so we're a little society on campus, and it's just a group for artists to come together.
You have a little events and sausage sizzles and all that sort of stuff throughout the year, don't you?
Throughout the year, and we've just done fundraisers throughout the year to raise money for our exhibition catalogue that we have there, free for people to take home at the exhibition.
So all of your fundraising throughout the year is really heading towards this end of year exhibition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. And Lizzy, what about you? Tell us a little bit about your work.
I make mud look good. I'm a ceramic artist.
I haven't heard it described like that before.
Well,
I like that.
It's a great way of explaining it. We love to play in the mud.
Yeah.
And I've been working on the wheel a lot this year. I've only been throwing for about a year now. And I've been able to develop my skills really,
So what were you doing before you were making mud look good in the previous couple of years?
Previous couple of years, so I started a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, which I didn't quite finish for various reasons, but transferring over into visual arts actually ended up being a bit of a godsend for me personally, because I was able to use the foundations of good solid writing, but also chemistry, and I can employ that very much in
with
my
your
ceramics.
glazes.
Yeah, well, in all parts of ceramics, because you're dealing with physics, chemistry, and aesthetics in ceramics. Plus, it's therapeutic to do.
Yeah.
It's really therapeutic.
So you've only taken up wheel throwing this year?
Yeah, so for about a year now I've been doing the wheel throwing. I've done a fair bit of hand building over the years prior.
Oh, so you do have that
Yeah, so the
background.
way that the course we've all studied here has been structured is you try a little bit of a lot of things for the first sort of half of your 3D degree, and from then on your studio practice becomes a bit like a choose your own adventure, and then you can specialise and really deeply explore what you're into and develop your arts practice, develop your network.
And what are you into?
What am I into?
Yeah, you said you can develop your own thing. And
of course, yes.
What you're into?
Okay, so in ceramics, I'm really into your sort of functional kitchenware that's also very, very beautiful. It's the kind of thing that you fight over after Nana passes away. I want that bowl, So
I love bowls.
Excellent.
I love bowls.
I love those.
I've got lots of them.
Yeah, and people love to collect mugs and all kinds of small things. And the fact that it's been handmade and it's personal becomes a really personal thing. And every mug tells a story. Every hand-thrown object tells a story. And people are all about stories.
Oh, absolutely. It's the artist's prerogative to tell stories, I'd say. Yeah. And Shelley, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an odd duck in this course.
Odd ducks are good. We need more of them.
It's split up into 2-dimensional artwork and 3-dimensional artwork, just so that the studios can function a little bit better, so that they're more specialised for each area. And most of the people in 3-dimensional works do ceramics, and I actually decided to do leather work. I've got a background in theatre, and I decided to play with props and costumey type things, and one of the things that I worked on involved a bit of leather, and I just really enjoyed it.
And
so I
voila.
decided to
So can you really just sort of choose any kind of medium you like and just go for it? Like, is there a lot of support for you to do that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit hard because a lot of my teachers don't necessarily know how to teach me some of the techniques that I've been doing, but there's a great support for finding resources and experimenting, and they're always happy to be like, okay, show me what you're doing, I want to learn that too. And then if you've got a question that they can help out with, they're so ready to just jump on board and support you in any way that they can, which is amazing.
And I suppose a lot of those creative kind of questions and queries have a certain generic kind of, I suppose, background anyway.
Yeah,
in terms of.
I mean, art's one of those things where you can dabble in a whole bunch of different things and you can use a whole bunch of different things. So with leatherwork specifically, I'm using sculptural techniques, I'm using drawing techniques, I'm painting on stuff, I'm doing a whole bunch of different, I do sewing and everything. So like, I kind of go all over the shop, and so getting advice from different people is really great.
So why leather?
It's just it's so versatile. I also really like history, and there is the historical aspect of, for thousands of years, this is the material that's been used. This was plastic for them. Everything that we have that's plastic, which is so much when you think about it.
Yeah, good point.
Was leather. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about that as well. And then you can just do so many different things with it.
So will we see some unusual work from you in this exhibition?
Yeah, definitely.
Things that we wouldn't expect to see?
Yeah, I would say so.
You'll love it.
Yeah,
you'll totally love it.
How, and any of you can answer this question, how does the staffing coordinate with the student body in your last year? So if you've developed this thing about leather and that's what you want to do, so are you assigned to one of the staff members to be sort of your mentor, or do you all still go to lectures, or what?
So each studio has a teacher. We've got Jimmy and Pete, and they're in that studio and they're there to support the students. And then we've both got wonderful techs that are really, really helpful. And I need to find this thing in the studio that I just can't find today. Oh, it's right here. I can go grab that for you.
Yes. Shout out to Claire Blake. She is a saint.
Yeah, and Nick Gorky.
Yep, totally. We can't live without our technicians.
Yeah, they've been such a great help throughout our course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So what next for you three? I mean, after we'll talk about the exhibition again in a minute, but where do you think you're going to go next? What about you, Alex?
Me? I'm hopefully planning on doing my Masters in Teaching next year.
Oh,
yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, I want to be a secondary art teacher.
Art teacher, yeah. Fantastic.
And is that something you discovered from actually doing the course, or had you always had a plan to do that?
I always had a plan to do that, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Always wanted to go back and bring that passion to others.
So do you think that's coloured the way that you participated as a student? Like having that aim to actually be a teacher yourself, has that coloured the way that you participated as a student?
I think so in aspects, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
She was probably really critical of her teachers, watching them very closely.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it would give you a different...
Taking notes.
Taking notes.
Yeah. You'd be watching teaching techniques and comparing different teachers with others, and...
They are all very different.
Yeah, they all very
different. They're quite the cast of characters. They
are,
but they're all practising artists as well.
Yes.
It's so important that we have that leadership.
And to have variety is crucial. If you are going to go on to be a teacher, you need to see, that little idea of theirs there didn't really work, and I think that didn't work because of this and this and this, and this idea and this idea and this idea did work, and this, like stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been great just to be able to dabble in different mediums and have that support of our lecturers who are practising artists in different fields themselves. So
that's exciting. And Lizzy, what about you? Where do you think you'll take your art career?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit odd, and I've actually already started my next step. So I chose to embark upon Fed Uni's new MBA course, which is now being delivered in block mode, and it's in close conjunction with industry. So runway over in the Fleckno building at SMB. That's so it's happening in conjunction. It's already started. So my last lecture of my first block is next week.
So does this mean you're looking at an arts business? Is that that's a business course?
Yeah,
Master
it's a
of
business
Business.
course, but at the same time, so I'm studying that one part-time, and then the other part of the time I'm doing the graduate diploma in ceramics, which has been going this is its second year, and it's been a screaming success, very, very popular, and well worth it too, because you really get to focus on glazes, and you get a better professional development quality, and you develop your studio skills a lot to a higher degree, so it's just pushing you a little bit more, and we've got such a broad range of people with lots of different interests coming in to that particular course, and I've been watching it over the last couple of years, and I just want a piece of that.
And what's your favourite kind of clay? Like you porcelain or terracotta, or what do you like to use mainly?
Yeah, so I've been using a white stoneware body called TMK for most of this year, and then we got some different clay bodies into our studio, and one was a beautiful earthenware that can be fired to stoneware temperatures, and it looks this beautiful chocolatey brown. It's beautiful to throw with, sort of just enough tooth. It's really, really lovely.
Isn't it interesting when you come across a particular medium or art form that it just kind of takes you off into a whole new realm?
Yeah, well, as I say, I think it's a bit about the therapy of it, because I can be having a really bad day and sit down at the wheel, and by the time I finish throwing, I've got a couple of mistakes there, but I've got a couple of keepers, and I'm feeling so much better. And mindfulness has become the new thing. It's very, very new at the moment.
I even like, I love watching videos of people using the pottery wheel on Instagram and video and stuff.
You can lose a lot of time watching people do it.
Really beautiful. And what about you, Shelley? Where are you going next, do you think?
So currently my goal is to sort of do art part-time and then get a job, something that can pay the bills, honestly. And then I have sort of started a little business for my leatherwork and my artwork, because I like to dabble in a lot of things.
Yes.
Like, I'm one of those people where if I want to do a painting, I'm going to do a painting.
Yeah. And that's how it should be too.
Yeah, just because it's not leather doesn't mean I'm not going to do it if I want to.
Oh, absolutely, go for it.
And then so I'll try and part-time it. I definitely want to keep doing my artwork, but realistically I don't know where I'm going to be. So I've got to
just see what happens.
Yeah.
So the end of year Fed Uni Arts Academy end of year exhibition opens this Friday night at the Mining Exchange, and it goes from the opening night is 6 till 8 p.m. I think usually, and you'll see visual arts students work, communication design, graphic design and ceramics. The exhibition itself goes until the 24th, so I think that's about a week, is it?
Just roughly.
Yeah. And you can access that exhibition at the Mining Exchange from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. every day. And and work will be for sale. Fantastic. Anything else we need to know about that? About the end of year exhibition, or have we covered everything? Do you think?
Works by 22 students.
Works by 22 students, and you're all graduates. You're all graduating.
A great variety of work. So many different people. So many different interests.
So what other sort of things will people see? Actually, that's a good point.
Lots of print makers.
Print makers and drawing.
Is there much painting this year, Alex?
Yeah, there's a couple of paintings. And there's mixed media.
Graphic design.
Graphic design, I think there's projected video as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of those.
Videos. Multimedia things.
Fantastic. Well, make sure you get along to that this Friday night, folks. It's usually very well attended and a great atmosphere. So thank you very much, Alex and Lizzy and Shelley, for coming in this evening and spruiking the end of year exhibition. And now, and it's this Friday. What's the date this Friday? It's the 15th. 15th of November already. So yes, that's always great fun. So yes, make sure you pop that on your calendar. Now we are going to do some what's on, aren't we, Lynden? I know you've got a great big list of things there on your list. One of the things Tara mentioned just as she was leaving the studio before is that the City of Ballarat run a series of free workshops, and you can find out what's going on. Any of that creative Ballarat City of Ballarat stuff that's happening, you can check out on the creativeballarat.com.au website and go and see what workshops are coming up.
This series of workshops are particularly about if you want to take your art practice that next step into creating a business. And so the workshop next week is going to be at the Eureka Centre. I think it's at 7, it might be 6. next Wednesday. So instead of listening to us, you can go there. And it's all about having an e-presence, so website.
And building, you can build a website
how
live.
to build a website, basically.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Fantastic. What else is happening?
What else is happening? Well, there's a play called The Carer, which is directed by Megan Riedel, who quite often is on our show. And that's at the Creswick Courthouse Theatre. It's put on by Hobo Playhouse, which must be a little performing group. And it's on Friday and Saturday of this week at 8 o'clock. I'm really interested in this one, actually. I can't attend, unfortunately, but it's a basket weaving workshop with an Aboriginal basket weaver and a Burundian basket weaver. And in between those two workshops, there's an Ethiopian lunch. How's that?
Is that the one being hosted by
Ballarat Community Health?
Yep.
Up at Lucas.
Yep.
And it's on this Saturday, the 16th, between 10 and 2:30.
You do need to book for that one, don't you?
You do need to book, and you book at A Pot of Courage, all one word, A Pot of Courage @gmail.com. It's a bit expensive. It's $100, concession $90, but all materials are supplied. So you would, I suppose, walk away with a Burundian something and an Aboriginal something.
Yeah. And it's probably
$100 and the Ethiopian lunch.
Yes, so probably goes for a few hours, I suppose. From
10 till 2:30.
10 till 2, yeah.
This Saturday, the 16th. It does say on my little note here that you've got to book before 7 p.m. tonight.
Well, you never know. You might be able to get in if you're really quick.
So do it now. A Pot of Courage @gmail.com. Timor-Leste, 20 Years On. It's a new book by Pat Walsh, and it's going to be launched at the library on November the 22nd from 5:30 to 7:30.
Ballarat Central Library there?
Yep. November the 22nd at 5:30, because it's 20 years since Timor-Leste won their independence and that terrible, terrible event. Lino print on fabric, Saturday the 16th. That's this Saturday as well. Presented by Susan Clark at the Trades Hall, and that's from noon onwards. You've got to book at Susan Clark something. Can't read my writing.
Maybe.com.
Susan Clark .com. Susan Clark Artworks.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Yeah. She's got a Facebook page. You can always Google that and find her Facebook page as well.
And I've got one more pod.
Yep.
There's the launch of the gallery in the George Hotel, which was actually used as part of the Frolic Festival.
That's exciting.
Launching that space, which is going to be a gallery, or it is a gallery.
I think it's just called The Gallery.
The Gallery.
Yeah.
On November the 21st.
Yeah.
So that's one of the days next week.
I think that's fabulous of the George to do that.
6 o'clock. Yeah. Have you got anything?
We had Colleen Philippa in the studio recently talking about an ephemeral art workshop that she was running at the Ballarat Food is Free laneway. Now, and of course, Colleen runs the social enterprise 15 Trees. And so she's actually, 15 Trees are actually hosting an ephemeral art competition. You can find out more about that on the 15 Trees Facebook page and website. There'll be more information about that this coming Monday. So check that out. And if you're into ephemeral art, you should check that out and enter.
Is that art out of food? No.
Ephemeral art is art that's generally made out of anything that you can find out there in the environment. So it might be I think you've actually made some art for 15 Trees before, once upon a time, Lynden. You can make it out of stones or pebbles or anything
and it's often
like
in the landscape.
In the landscape, it's ephemeral because it might be there 1 minute and it might be gone the next.
Yeah,
you could be using any kind of natural organic material. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's coming up. And I just wanted to say too that Ballarat East Neighbourhood House, which started up very recently, are also running a lot of different creative workshops. So at a few different locations at the moment. So if you check out the Ballarat East Neighbourhood House, and they're doing all sorts of stuff. You can make granny squares. You can do all sorts of different things with the Ballarat East Neighbourhood House. So that's another opportunity for people as well. There's no excuse not to be creative, I say.
No,
there's so much going on. It's wonderful. So thank you very much to all of our wonderful guests this evening. Thank you, Alex, Lizzy and Shelley from Fed Uni Arts Academy for coming in this evening. We really appreciate it. And good luck with just everything, the exhibition and your future careers and everything. And if you've ever got anything that you want to talk about creatively, please come back on our show. We'd love to have you. Yes. So good evening, folks. We'll be back again. Well, Lynden will be back next Wednesday. And this time next week, I'll actually be in Mexico, checking out lots of Mexican art and getting lots of inspiration. So everyone, make sure you listen in while I'm away and support Lynden with the show and enjoy.
Got some great guests coming.
Oh, lots of wonderful guests all the time. Okay, we're going to listen to Amy Brule again, and we'll chat with you again soon.